Good morning. I'm Courtney Mercer, the Executive Director of Downtown New Jersey. Welcome to the, I think, 10th or 11th edition of our weekly Downtown Management Forums, live via Zoom. Today, we will be talking about digital resources for downtowns. We have three great speakers: Ken Ruskin from the Gruskin Group and MyDowntown Mobile, Kate Giovambattista. Did I do that well? You're smiling, yay. Founder of Beyond Maine, and Ray Painter, who is the publisher of Edible Jersey. As usual, I will, if my slide will advance. All right, it's not, so I'm going to talk through my slides. As usual, I'll tell you a little bit about Downtown New Jersey. We are a actually, I've got it. I fixed it. Give me 1 second. We are a member-supported nonprofit organization. We provide education and advocacy, all supporting downtown revitalization. We have been hosting these forums since mid-March. We have 2 upcoming forums. One is re-entry for retailers, and this one typically we try to keep it to bids, but small businesses are welcome. So if you're a bid and you want to share that one with your businesses, this is going to be retailers, not restaurants. So, you know, just so people don't have expectations that we're talking about re-entry for restaurants there. And then June 26th, we'll be doing commercial district recovery with Larissa Ortiz from Street Sense. And then, as always, all the past forums are up on our website. You can watch the videos, you can read summaries, you can get the PowerPoints. If there's any resources, there's links to them. In particular, May 22nd, I just want to draw people's attention to that one. We were really talking about opening the streets, opening the sidewalks, et cetera, to support your small businesses. And there are sample resolutions up there, PowerPoints, examples. So that one is chock full of resources if you're looking for that. As many of you know, Downtown New Jersey does serve on the Main Street Committee of the Governor's Restart and Recovery Council. So I just want to give one quick little slide of things that are coming up. And I think most of you already know these things. June 15th, outdoor dining and limited non-essential retail. The non-essential retail reopening, I've been getting a lot of questions about what that means, and I've gotten no answers for any of you who are wondering, particularly yoga and dance studios. The advice that NJBIA Consortium is giving is the local municipality is doing enforcement, so ask your local municipality if you're allowed to open, because they're the one who's going to enforce it anyway. And unfortunately, different municipalities are going to give different answers. So we're going to see yoga studios open in town X and not open in town Y. And without clarification from the state, that's the best I can tell you. June 22nd, outdoor pools, additional recreational activities. June 6th, summer camps. They've already increased outdoor gathering to 100 people. By the 22nd, it'll go to 250, 500 by July 3rd. Indoor gatherings increased to 50 people, 25% capacity. And that's where people think that they can do the yoga and the dance studios because of that indoor gathering. But I think that is inaccurate. But again, without clarification, there's no clarification. And so without further ado, I would like to stop sharing my screen and hand it over to Ken. I just have to say stop sharing. And there you go. Be sure to unmute yourself there too, Ken. There you go. I unmuted you. Okay. Not seeing your screen just yet.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to start the screen. Hopefully you can all see my presentation here. Again, thank you, Courtney, for having us here to walk through how mobile apps can keep the downtowns open and connecting communities, especially in this particular time. MyDowntown Mobile is, we create custom apps for towns, bids, SIDS, and communities. And it's been a kind of interesting way of placemaking using virtual tools. And especially today, when you look at our world, it's changed a little bit now with social distancing and COVID. So previously, when we thought about everybody being able to socialize and keep connected from a community point of view, we have the sense of, you know, the metaphor of the front porch, and literally in some towns, the stoop, the front porch, the sidewalk, and people, you know, could gather and talk to each other. Now, of course, with everything going on, it's a little different now, right? You got to wear your mask and you got to be 6 feet apart. So it's a lot different. Even the notion of being with my family or dining out, it's all changed. And we know that in the downtowns and our businesses have had to adapt, as well as all our community members as well. So this is the new look. And the problem is, even with this, of course, how you stay together and in touch. It's possible that even, you know, some of these people are too close, and some are saying unless you're family, you can't even get together. So, you know, people are resorting more and more to their digital tools to get, you know, whether it's curbside pickup, delivery, and all these kind of things for food and everything. And that means they're using their smartphones for more and more. So as you try to build community, to place make for a town, you know, how do you create that sense where everyone is going to continue to feel part of the community and connected, especially when you don't have the ability sometimes to even go into the downtown, especially if, you know, people are supposed to shelter in place. And given that things are starting to open up, that's good, but it still is still, there's restrictions in place, as it was discussed at the beginning, as they're starting to open, and we don't know what's going to happen in the fall. So how to capture our digital tools and use them to help make places is really going to be important. Now, traditionally, there's a lot of ways towns created this sense of community even without the app. Obviously, you had the town green or center where you could have events, and obviously people could stay close together. You know, some towns, I used to live in one town where people used to joke and say the recycling yard was the town green. That's where you got all the latest news and gossip. And of course, some towns have stoops or porches and people can gather and just see each other and catch up. And of course, there's walking down the street. What's interesting, though, is today with all of our smartphones, you look at where people are looking, they're not looking out at everything, they're looking down. So it's almost like they're tuned out, even though they're together. And then when you capitalize this on the COVID issues and that people have to social distance, it's a much greater challenge today of how people stay together. So what it looks like today is, even with our devices, is going to be that you've got to be separate. In some communities, they're actually drawing circles on the grass and saying, this is where you've got to be. We have curbside pickup and deliveries, so we're not heading out into the stores. You're staying in touch with friends and relatives through your devices. And of course, you know, we've got to maintain our distance, and, you know, it's hard to get close to people, you know, without people getting nervous, or you want to avoid getting exposed potentially. So right now, in your hand is your smartphone, and people before this all happened were using it quite extensively. It was 74%. Now it's up to 80 and continuing to rise. So you're going to continue to see this. So for communities, bids and SIDS to have their presence and control their brand and expression is really important. So I think someone, we got some background noise, if they could please. So what's happening is interesting, is that local news sites are really picking up because people want local information, even though the nationals don't really cover it. So you're getting the extreme ends of, you know, the big national, but the local news everyone wants. It's all the papers and stuff in the middle that are having the problem. Online grocery, which is already growing, jumped from 3 to 4% upwards to 15%, and that as well is going to continue to rise and grow. And they're all doing it through their smartphones. So when we look at traffic and we look at what's happening, the spikes that are happening now, you can see from pharmacies through retail, huge growth in these areas. And all these vendors and businesses are creating apps on their own so that people can come in and use them as efficiently as possible. Now, the reality for communities are, since typically they don't have their own app like a business, is that who defines who and what people see in their borders? It's all of the big tech companies, Facebook, Amazon, Yelp, and so forth. And they don't understand the notion of borders. For them, it's their algorithm that decides where your borders are and what comes up in their searches. And they try to consolidate all these options into a convenient place for their users. But the problem, if you're in a town, right, and this is how their algorithm sees it, how do you kind of promote your businesses and your community specifically? So part of the idea of having your own app is that instead of like a Amazon or a Google, which is very wide but shallow, is to create something very specific but deep. And that gives the idea that it's sort of like the local news versus the national. It's so specific to you that it's of value to the residents, not necessarily to those outside, and it becomes a gateway. You could say metaphorically, the front porch or town green, where all this information about the community becomes consolidated, and you take ownership of that perception away from, you know, the Amazons and Googles. It doesn't mean they're not in there, but if you lived in this town, hopefully you would say, boy, having this app just is great. It puts everything I need in one place. Also, it becomes the digital expression of your community, because, like, for example, in Point Pleasant, where we have an app, this was basically, if you would just use their town symbol, yes, this is accurate to their town, but it doesn't capture the expression. It's like the digital front door that creates the mood, the feel that you want. So creating something like this communicates in a more meaningful way what they're trying to be about. So that's important, especially as residents are home, they're not in the community as much, and certainly wanting to be able to get that expression together. It's also a way of taking all these loose parts which you have in a community digital and put them in one location. So for example, in Glassboro, you have, directory where you can provide a lot of, the updated COVID operation, business operations and hours, whether events, you have both digital as well as social distancing events and in person. So it becomes a way for people to stay in touch and do things. Updates, you can push out things that are important and about COVID, about what's going on, the latest news, the latest things going on. Deals, this is important for the businesses because it's a way for the local population to support their in-town businesses. They can push out deals and it promotes commerce in the community. News, which is nice, again, very localized. It can come in through a feed or be input manually, so there's a few ways to do that, but it gives you the local things you want to know. And of course, tools for the downtown or your business area to help get their word out and let people know what's going on, find out about the businesses and so forth. Additionally, you have additional pages which you can do, which provide even more information to the community. For example, you can provide information about schools so that it informs them about what's going on that front. You can do your own profile so that you can personalize what you want to hear about, what notifications you want to receive in the push. And then it's a great place for links. Instead of having to hunt around for the town link or the recycling yard or the senior center, or even state information on COVID, I can put it all right in there, and it's a nice convenient spot to go to for everything. So again, the application is kind of coalescing all these parts into one digital front door that helps the residents and the businesses communicate to each other. So what are the key features and things that you want to see in an app? And these are things to look for. Well, obviously, branding is important because it's got to reflect the identity and personality, not just be a literal, just, like just the town seal. While that may have historical value, it may not capture the personality that you guys are trying to communicate. Push notifications, that's really important because you want to be able to let messages go out to people who have the app to give them, whether it's updates on COVID, resources, emergency information, and community information. That's really important, as well as business and deals. Directory of all the businesses. It's nice, especially when you're saying, let's support the local businesses. You can look them up by type, restaurants, services, and then go there and connect to them. So it's an easy way to find all those links, to the town websites, community links, state, whatever the local links that are important to your community can be put in there, so it's a one-stop place to go. Local news, important. You can use a feed or it can be inputted manually. Obviously, the feed has value because it keeps it current. Social media, it also should incorporate social media from Facebook, check-in and sharing. You can, and that's all really important because obviously people work on different platforms. So again, it provides a gateway into those. In terms of managing the app itself, there's different ways to do that. There's a content management system so that you can control what's going on it. And you can also have multi-level access, meaning that people, different people can do different things on it. It doesn't depend just on one person to keep it current. Events, you want to be able to promote digital and virtual events, and it can even provide links to video feeds and calendars so that you just go there and click and you're in. So again, it makes it easy. You don't have to hunt around. Local incentives for businesses from deals, coupons, discounts, and of course, push notifications, which are valuable to the businesses as well. You can post photos and videos to show the community, show what's going on, which are great. And you can also have a loyalty program, which helps for customer retention for local businesses. So one of the key points, though, if you're going to get an app you need to be aware of is you need to keep it up to date. I think we all know that our digital natives, and pretty much everyone these days, if it takes too long in the clock, right, people just don't have the patience. 2 or 3 clicks, if they don't get it, they're out of there. You go to a Google search, if it's not on the first, maybe second page, you may move on. So to keep this app relevant, you want to have it as much as possible. If we can get it on the home page on their smartphone, great, but at least we want it close by, if not there. So, so what are the things you have to keep in mind? You've got to use push notifications to keep people informed, but there is a balance. You don't want to over-inform and over-push because you don't want to become a nuisance. So there always is a balance. So you want to be able to do various pushes. You want to request the business owners to provide updates on their status and deals that can be included in the app. Again, it adds value. A lot of our towns find that it's the deals and the business that we get a tremendous amount of people going to look at the apps and using it for. Local events, you got to keep it current. Farmers market, what's happening with civic organizations, township meetings, etc. Those are all things you want to keep in the calendar. So again, people don't have to hunt around, they can find it. And also having good links for people to use. Now, how do you get information into the app? Well, your organization, town, whether it's a bid, SID, or the town itself, can aggregate the information into it and post the content. Or you may have some part-time or full-time staff. You can have input information into the app. And some of our towns or an organization to do that. And you can also have the vendor, in this case, it might be us, post updates and pushes if you don't have the organization or people to do the first two options. And that would be about 3 to 7 hours per month. And the bottom line, I guess, is people know, well, what does something like this cost? Well, again, for the kind of the semi-branded, we'll say, version, the semi-custom, which you see like in the examples we gave, run initially, you know, between 6 and 12,000 and take about 1 to 2 months to launch, and then have just monthly maintenance to keep it up to date and so forth with the platforms as they shift. And then lastly, custom app development. If you said, well, we want our own, that's going to be 30 to 60,000 and can take 6 to 12 months to do, which is obviously a big undertaking. And that was part of the reason we developed this, because it's much more cost effective. So anyway, that's a quick overview of, you know, how mobile apps can keep the downtowns connected and your communities connected. And certainly if you have any questions at some point, we'll be glad to take them. And thank you.
I said great and then wasn't unmuted. So great. Thank you, Ken. I think that was very useful and great information. So what I do want to say is we started macro level with Ken's, because I think our next two speakers actually could integrate into the app because they're a little more specialized. And so I'd like to kind of go down in levels, and I'd like to introduce Kate next, who's going to talk about Beyond Main, which is basically I call it the Etsy of small business retailers, or somebody called it that and I stole it. So bumping over to you, Kate, thank you.
Yeah, you're spot on. We tend to get referred to as the Amazon for your local community or the Etsy for your local community. So I'll go ahead and share my screen really fast. Let's see. Okay, we all good? Everyone can see and hear fine? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so yeah, that was a great kickoff, Ken. I actually agree with everything you said. And we definitely kind of like fit into that, I would say, very commerce piece of things for downtowns and small businesses, and really trying to overall help you identify what your local multiplier effect might be and help you increase that to stop leakage throughout a community. So we are Beyond Main. We're a New Jersey-based startup, launched about a year ago with pilot communities here. And I'm Kate, I'm the founder, and this is our very small but mighty team. We have my co-founder, Kelly Johannesson, and I worked together for several years, consulting for small businesses, the consumer product, as well as fashion, handbag, and accessory industries and gift industries. We got connected with our CTO, Daniel Van Schaik, who's also a New Jersey native, graduated from Stevens Institute and has worked for Colgate and other really big Fortune 500 companies as a web and software developer. And Bridget Renzulli actually heads up our social impact and also community and marketing initiatives. So we really do kind of classify ourselves as a social enterprise, because our vision is to help people live better locally, and kind of building off of Ken's theme of this aggregation of information. And really that's what marketplaces kind of allow for. But through the lens of Beyond Main, you know, our vision is obviously to help people live locally better, but also our mission is to help communities thrive through redirecting online spend back into the hands of small businesses and circulating back through local communities. There we go. Okay. So really, what is kind of like accelerating all of this, right? So long before even, I would say, the pandemic hit, there was what, you know, in the retail world, we like to say the retail renaissance, right? Or retail apocalypse, depending on however you looked at it. We're team renaissance. But really, online shopping was transforming the industry and consumer behavior along with it. And so what we found as consultants was that small businesses were really struggling to kind of compete in this new arena, and they lacked a lot of the financial resources or even human staff resources to kind of help them achieve that. And so that was really the basis of of like why we created Beyond Main and why we're looking to create the new future of shopping local. So I think it's just really important to kind of highlight, well, why does small business matter so much? And, you know, the current environment that we're in, I think, is obviously the messaging of that is resonating right now. But, you know, small businesses employ 48% of the private job sector. They contribute back to their community at a much more significant rate. You know, they attract vibrancy, they engage residents, they contribute to the tax yield of businesses, and they also are the main reason why we want to live where we want to live, right? We want to be in places that there's activity and there's a lively downtown or community to be a part of. And so really to kind of quantify this problem, it's pretty significant. So 2/3 of small businesses are not e-commerce enabled. That's still today, that stat still holds true. The National Main Street actually just updated their statistics, and you'll see that in their studies there. You can go out and read. But when we look at US e-commerce spend, it was actually growing steadily for the last 8 years or so at about 2 to 3% year over year. We ended in 2019 around 16%, but in April of this year, we jumped to 27%. So what we probably would have seen in like 2025 to 2030 is now kind of, we're living it today. And so the main thing I think that as leaders in your downtown and organizations, and as well as kind of working with your small business community, is like helping them kind of like catch up, right? They were already behind, but how can we help them accelerate and catch up fast so that you can position them for future growth and also manage this next 2 years of you know, environment that we're going to be in. The good news is that 87% of customers are searching online for local businesses. So there is a deep-seated need for local residents or people visiting tourism areas to find things nearby. And that's really, I think, what Ken was speaking to earlier, and what we're doing at Beyond Main is this aggregation of local information right at your fingertips, this one-stop shop of places to go to get what you need. And we know that with all of these things combined and looking at the flow of spend, if we can redirect those dollars back into small businesses, there's a greater chance of it getting recirculated back into local communities and helping communities thrive. So how do businesses, how can we help them solve this problem, right? Well, it really calls for deep integration across a multiple use of channels. So that includes websites, marketplaces, social media, brick and mortar, and as well, you know, as maybe mobile apps or other different types of marketplace sites and things like that. At Beyond Main, kind of drilling it down to more of what we do, we really kind of consider ourselves an intersection of mobile and Main Street. And our focus is community, convenience, curation, and consciousness. So what we're trying to do, and what I would encourage everyone on the phone, you know, as you're starting to mull through like what solutions are best for you, is to think about laying a foundation that you can build upon, right? And that you can continue to nurture and cultivate and iterate on top of, so that it's not a Band-Aid fix, but it's really that what's going to set us up and we can still be using 10, 15, 20 years down the road as a foundational piece to our infrastructure. And so, you know, at Beyond Main, we focus on trying to keep a low-cost, turnkey operational tool for small businesses to manage their online presence. It's a convenient way for consumers to shop and experience their town, and it's also something that can help strengthen local commerce. How does it work essentially? It's really a tool at the end of the day to help you manage, sell, and market your business. There's a lot of other online tools out there that you can use, but I would say that these are really the 3 buckets you want to look at in helping a small business be effective online. So helping them manage, helping them sell more, and how can it integrate with their marketing, right? Budget is always a concern. So cost, you know, it has to pack a big punch. So anything that you can do to save time and money is going to benefit the small business as well as your downtown organization. Shopper benefits, some of the things that we've identified that we think are key on the consumer behavioral kind of like point of view is that shoppers really are now trained to kind of have aggregation, especially within like marketplaces like Amazon and speed, you know, to delivery, last mile, all of these types of things are really now top of mind and preferences. And so small businesses have to kind of really jump to catch up. So within Beyond Mean, how we're solving that issue is looking at it from the consumer side and saying, okay, well, what do we need to deliver on for consumers on behalf of small businesses? And so we can help allow for multi-store shopping, single cart checkout, so they don't have to check out at 25 different business sites. They can kind of take care of everything they need to through the local marketplace, and it's one checkout for them. They can choose their fulfillment methods based upon what the business is offering to service their area, and that can be everything from in-store pickup to curbside to local delivery to also shipping if the business would like to offer those services. We know that small businesses do the little things exceptionally well, and maintaining that trust line is really important to us, and helping to strengthen those relationships is our main objective through the technology. So we allow for things like create free gift wrapping, donating to local charities through the business, things like that. And also re-incentivizing the user to, you know, kind of say, hey, this is a good choice I just made. Just like when I eat a healthy meal, right? Or I take that like daily exercise routine into like gear. You know, it's the same type of mindset. Like shopping local is a really good choice. And so we want to do everything that we can to kind of encourage that. All right, so this is, I thought it might be easy to just sort of walk through. This is Laura. This is one of our partners. She actually has a chain of businesses in the state of New Jersey. They're called The Papery, and she is one of our, I would say, more advanced users through the Beyond Meat Marketplace, and is able to manage all of her shops through kind of one centralized dashboard, as well as her e-commerce presence. And so what we've been able to do with Laura is kind of integrate her e-commerce business, which she didn't have one prior to working with us, and now kind of giving her exposure across multiple different channels, right? So she's operated brick and mortars for a number of years, has a really healthy reputation, has great customer base, and so we just look to help give her customers more and better access to her. And so we've developed a integrated website that she can you know, manage her multiple locations through one centralized dashboard and point that also gives her visibility through the local marketplace, as well as an individual online website. So really, you know, what I would encourage everyone to start to just think about is, how do I make bricks to clicks an initiative for me, and clicks to bricks, the reverse, right? So bricks to clicks and clicks to bricks. How do I make that kind of like circular and start to bring our physical downtown online in a way where commerce can actually be engaged? So Courtney actually asked me to talk a little bit about pivots and preparedness that we've seen over the last few months. So from our point of view as a company, like, we haven't had to pivot a whole bunch other than just the speed to keep up with the need right now. You know, we were really kind of focused on some of these initiatives prior to COVID, but we're really happy that we've been able to quickly leverage, you know, towns to be able to kind of enact some of these things on behalf of small businesses. And so what we kind of tend to focus and continue to look at, and I think it's just, you probably are doing this, but just, you know, just to kind of break it down is, you know, we watch consumer confidence in spending and how that's going to really kind of like influence behaviors and shopping, not only online, but in downtown brick and mortar stores. We also look at pandemic models and kind of like in preparation for what are we likely to go through over the next 6 months all the way out to 2 years, and looking at historical data, then also marrying that with current models to understand, you know, what type of situation we're looking at. We're looking at real estate and store closures versus store openings. You know, we tend to always see about a net zero every year. We lose 10% of business, we might gain 10% of businesses, but you know, what is that net actually going to look like over the next 6 months to 2 years? The employment numbers are something we pay attention to as well. And then finally, when and where we can, leakage. And if we can identify that and help to influence a local multiplier effect, we want to try to make steps to doing that. So I would say from a very high level, I think those are the things I would be paying attention to as we start to, uncover solutions moving forward. When we look at a digital first mindset and methodology, I think the key things to consider are, remain agile, remain adaptable, and remain experimental. So when you're looking for technology or digital solutions, leave room for those things. It is a lot of adapting, iterating, and experimenting. So, just kind of go into it knowing that it's going to be a process to figure out what is going to work for you and your community. No business is the same and no community is the same. So, you can take some best practices, but just be prepared to tweak them and adapt them to kind of serve really the needs that you need to fulfill. These are just some books that I feel really helped me over the years and might, as you're looking to kind of adapt a digital first or an entrepreneurial mindset, that might help trigger ideas and inspiration. Lean Startup is kind of the Bible for us today. And it helps with just, getting into that fail fast mentality, try things, fail fast, doesn't work, learn from it, move on, or it works, let's build upon it. The Hard Things About Hard Things is, I think, a very relevant book today. 0 to 1 is a great book for kind of, how do you launch something and how do you get it to that first level from 0 to 1. And then The Messy Middle really deals with, how are you going to overcome once it's in place, all of that adapting and iterating and things like that. So those would just be some recommended readings I could suggest that I think could spur innovation and really get some solutions that could, help your communities. And then last, I would say from the preparedness standpoint, and what I've seen a lot of the communities that we've started to work with do is that they've begun to realign resources. And so, this environment is caused you to probably take a hard look at budgets and where you're actually aligning your resources from, time to financial to people. And so, keep those adaptable as well. And, with the digital being maybe more top of a priority right now, be sure you're aligning resources to support that initiative over the next couple of years, especially. So this is just a quick example of some of the communities I think have, done a really exceptional job. And there's more that are coming. Westfield is another one that we're getting ready to launch really soon, but that have taken the initiative to create, a more commerce focused environment for their downtown and convenience factor for customers. So as you begin to kind of lead with local and this digital mindset, remember that collaboration is key. And so collaborating with the small business community as well as outside vendors to support you in these initiatives is going to be, paramount. And then training and education is also going to be a piece of this. So a lot of times when you outsource or work with other companies, they can assist with this, or it even could be internally, right? So if there's someone that you have on your staff or on your team, or maybe it's you, that can really help with the training and education piece for small businesses, that would be, I would say, really important to leverage right now, because the biggest hurdle we've encountered is a fear of acting, the fear of taking that first step to getting their business online and managing that. So if you can help them overcome that fear, I think you're going to be well ahead of the game. And then finally, communicate and market. So, most of your role obviously is in communications and marketing. So, just taking all of those different collaborations of training, education, and bundling it together, and then how are you going to introduce this to the community is going to be really important. And so some of our partners easy things that they've done is always included the shopping sites in their emails and newsletters, shared it on social media with followers, encouraged the businesses to join and engage. So the communication and the marketing is going to be ongoing, but those are, I'd say, the three key components to kind of getting started with a digital tool. So that was, most of what I had prepared, and we are Beyond Main. We're the intersection of Mobile and Main Street. And this is my information for anybody who would like to get in touch afterwards. You can follow us at Beyond Main or myself and reach out to me through any of these means, and I'd be happy to follow up with anybody after the call if you have other pressing questions.
Great, thank you, Kate. And just so everybody knows, we'll do questions and discussion at the end after everybody's presented. Last but not least, we have Ray Painter with Edible Jersey, who they've been doing a lot to both help farmers markets, and he's also going to talk about a restaurants initiative that is coming up.
Hi, folks. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So thank you so much, Courtney, for inviting me to join this group with a presentation. I know initially you asked about the My Community Market, which is an effort we have with community farmers markets, and then also I told her about this other program we have for Destination Dining Guide that I wanted to share with you. So I want to first talk just a little bit about Edible Jersey. Then I'll tell you about My Community Market, and then the Dining Destination Guide. So.
Are you going to share your screen, Ray?
Oh, I thought I had. I'm glad. Let's see here. Oh, I see. Okay.
There you go.
Hey, folks, I had these other beautiful slides that I just went through. Okay, so can you see that okay now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So about Edible Jersey. So this is our mission, and I'm not going to read it all off, but the main two words here are that we're all about food and community. We're a magazine plus digital online. We basically celebrate local food of New Jersey. We publish the magazine 5 times a year, and our main readers are people who are passionate about food. We reach over 100,000 people with every issue, and it's a very targeted group of people who just are very passionate about food and local food. We launched in 2007. So we're in our 14th year now. Award-winning content. We have international culinary professional writers who are award winners. In 2011, we're part of Edible Communities. It's a network of 75 locally focused magazines across the country. We license the Edible brand, but they're all absolutely wonderful magazines, wonderful local content. They're all locally owned and published. And in 2011, as a group, we won the James Beard Publication of the Year Award, which I tell you, that was one happy day when we won that. And I'm just going to quickly show you here our digital archives. We are a print magazine, but this is our digital archives, and you can see this represents our entire body of work where we have them all the issues posted online going back to 2010, you know, and you can open up any one of these magazines and just see the beautiful content, the stories. They're all the magazines are beautiful. We're really quite proud of that. We also do have our website, and everything is posted on our website as well. So bringing up the website here, just so you get a feel for that. All this great local contact going back years and years is available. And we do other digital. So we do an e-newsletter, social media, e-blasts, and I put my my email there, ray@ediblejersey.com, just because if you can email me your contact information, then I have contact information for a lot of you who are on the phone now, but I'll send you more information. We're mailing you a copy of our upcoming issue that's at the printer right now. This is the summer 2020 issue that you'll be getting in the mail. And if you send me your contact information, we'll be sure you get on our e-newsletter and get other content as well. So I want to tell you about, first of all, about my community market and for New Jersey farmers markets. So as I said, Edible Jersey is all about food and community. And farmers markets are kind of right at the heart of what we're all about. And we've been doing a special farmers market promotional program since 2010. Even before that, we did have been doing a printed farmers market guide in our summer issue that has a listing of all of the community farmers markets in the state. And we've had the pleasure of over our 14 years seeing those grow from around 70, I think, to over 140. So that it's just so much at the heart of what we're all about. So we have been doing this online farmers market guide for 10 years. I'm sorry, farmers market guide as part of the issue. As I said, we list all of the farmers markets in the state, but we also offer enhanced listings for people who advertise with us. And you can see here that it's chock full of ads from community farmers markets throughout the whole state. So I think looking at the upcoming coronavirus, I think in late February, we started realizing that this was going to be a disaster for farmers markets with the coronavirus coming. Consumers not being able to get local food from their farmers market vendors, because people are afraid to go to local markets. The loss of livelihood for vendors, that depends so much on farmers markets. And then for communities losing, the local identity for farmers markets that you've really helped build up over the years. We already had an e-commerce site that was in the works for New Jersey food producers. But what we did in March was we sort of shifted gears, accelerated development for specifically for farmers markets, and partnered with a company called Local Line so that people could go online and buy from farmers market vendors online, pay for it online, and then just go and do their pickup at the farmers market. We conducted a pilot with the Denville Farmers Market and then began rolling out. And the benefits are quite obvious for consumers to be able to still get their food without needing to go and linger at a farmer's market, for vendors to still have that outlet, and for local communities in particular, providing helping to provide an ongoing service to the community. It kills us the way that the community parts of farmers markets just won't be there as much this summer. It's such a great part of local communities, but You can continue to offer the modified farmers market program until the crisis is over. Edible Jersey doing the promotion and marketing of the program. And then also you may end up, communities draw from a larger community base. So I just want to quickly show you we worked out a discount pricing also with Local Line for any New Jersey farmers market. Their rate is normally $20 per vendor per month. But we negotiated with them that will max out at 10 vendors. So, you know, some of these markets, and you can see we have, these are the markets that are online so far. And a lot of these have many more than 10 vendors. So it ends up being just a tremendous deal for them as well to be able to continue to offer this service and hopefully continue to promote the downtown areas. So that's what I was going to go over for the My Community Market. I want to quickly tell you about another thing that we're doing, realizing another group that's devastated by the coronavirus, maybe even more so, is New Jersey restaurants. So for many years now, we've been doing in our high summer issue, which is normally July, August. We've pushed it out to August. We've been doing an Eat, Drink, Local guide, and basically for local restaurants. Giving, you know, we cover restaurants somewhat all year long, but this is our one issue that has a real heavy restaurant focus. Since you don't have a copy of the magazine right in front of you now, I thought I'd just show you the last year's 2019 restaurant guide. This is the digital edition. You know, and for any restaurant advertiser, this is a full promotional package that we do. For any advertisers, they get these kind of listings that are in the print and digital edition. We also do an Eat, Drink, Local week that featured where we do a lot of promotion, and the advertising partners would promote local menus and all. Then we also have this online guide that's available throughout the year that stays on our website, and it is used as a reference for people looking for local food throughout the year. So this year, realizing that how devastating this is for restaurants, our Eat, Drink, Local guide this year is going to have two components. It's going to have a restaurant survival guide, which is a modified version of what we've done in the past, and then also a dining destination guide that we're hoping that you folks will want to participate in. So for the restaurant survival guide, what we are going to do is we're going to give a complimentary listing to any restaurant partner that has advertised with us over the last 2 years. So it's going to be in this guide, everyone will get listed. Then we're also having a special restaurant promotional package that has a very significant discount for restaurants to advertise, and also with a much lower entry point. That entry point is what you see here is basically an enhanced listing that will be interspersed with the guide with all of these over the last 2 years. Oops, I wanted to go back. How can I go back? Last view. There we go. So you know, the people can advertise with us with an enhanced listing that would look something like this, or we have major discounts on all of our other ad sizes, display ad sizes. And if they do a display ad, then they get this free enhanced listing. We're going to also have icons that show things like for them if they do curbside pickup, outside dining, online ordering, delivery, things like that. So that's going to be print and online. Plus, for anyone who advertises, even with the enhanced listing, we're going to give them a free social media post. Plus, we'll be pushing this through our own e-blasts and other general social media posts as well. You know, basically hoping that our restaurants will survive this. For dining destinations, this is going to be a new guide that will look an awful lot like what I showed you for last year's 2019 restaurant guide, but it's going to have for any destination advertisers, they get a free listing in this promotion. And this is a way for you to promote your local restaurants, promote reopening efforts. You're going to get a great discount on display ads, and it's just tremendous promotion for your local communities in general. So the features will be have the display ad. So this will anyone who has a quarter page, half page, or full page ad as a destination is going to get this listing in the dining destination guide that'll be both print and online all year, which is going to include at least a 60-word write-up and a logo for you as a dining destination. There's going to be a destination map of New Jersey that will locate where your community is in the state, and you're going to benefit from all this Edible Jersey promotion, e-blasts, and also we're going to give you your own social media post that you can write and provide for us. So it's a really tremendous package. We're feeling that this is, for, I think, for local communities, for downtowns, that restaurants have always led in the efforts to promote the downtown and promote the community. And now more than ever, the restaurants are a way for you to really really help the community. And many of you have already. I know a lot. I'm not sure who all is on the call right now, but many of you already have been advertising partners with us in the past. Some of these have been advertising partners for your local farmers market, but now there's an opportunity for you to expand that and promote as a restaurant destination as well. And I apologize if I've missed anybody who's part of this group and not listed you here if you've been a partner. I did want to just highlight a couple of them. So downtown Somerville is gracing the back cover of the issue you're going to get in the mail. So our summer 2020 issue, look at this great ad, full page ad, back cover, promoting Somerville as a dining destination, takeout, delivery, curbside, and highlights 3 of their great restaurants there. And I'll just highlight one more. I know Stuart is on, but in our last year's restaurant issue, the high summer issue, look at this beautiful 2-page spread that Fort Lee did, promoting their restaurants in their community, and and attracting people, our readers from across the state, you know, from, like I said, it's over 100,000 readers with each issue, plus more online and more through the, throughout the year. So what a great promotion this was. And others of you have taken out half-page ads promoting, and it's just a great way for you to promote your downtown areas. And that was basically what I wanted to go over. Here's our sales team. Any one of these, you know, a lot of these people, or some of you know these folks already. My wife, Nancy, is the real brains of this operation. I think you can maybe see her head sitting behind me over there if you see me on the screen. But she's the real brains. Has been in magazine publishing for over 25 years now, with great publications, and this whole sales team, Eric Derby and Dawn, they're just both just tremendous.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ray.
Okay.
If you could stop sharing so then we can go into Brady Bunch mode for Q&A. And I do just want to clarify on I gave Ray our members USPS snail mail list. We don't give out our emails because we don't want you guys to get annoyed with us for having that. But so for our members, you will receive a free copy of the print version of the latest magazine.
I can't figure out how to stop sharing.
At the bottom, there should be a little thing that says stop sharing, bright red. Or maybe at the top.
Where do I get to oh, here we go. Here we go.
I don't know how to make you stop sharing. Here we go. I can do it.
Oh, I got it.
I got it.
Okay.
All right. So anybody have questions, comments, so questions and then or comments, things that you're doing in your town, if you're doing some of this or doing something different, please share. As you know, these are more conversations and best practices and way for us to learn from each other on how we're going to move forward. Anyone? Really?
Courtney, how you doing? It's
Hi,
Orlando from downtown Patterson. How's everyone going? I guess, I mean, nothing too, kind of related to the topics that were discussed here today, but in general, something that we are doing here in Patterson is as non-essential retail businesses are allowed to open this upcoming Monday. Normally throughout the summer months, as an SID, we provide all the businesses with a blanketed permit that allows them to do sidewalk sales. And, they do it on the weekends only in normal times. But, as of Monday, we are going, and this was obviously after discussion with the administration and the city council, is allowing the businesses to do sidewalk sales 7 days a week, weather permitting. So it's going to start on Monday, and I have so far it going as far as the end of September. Typically, we see businesses revenue increase about 15% when they do sidewalk sales. So we figure allowing this on a 7-day week basis, would allow them to maybe get that extra boost of income, and also it will help with social distancing because not everyone will have to go inside. So it's something that we're doing here. I encourage everyone to look into their own downtowns and their own policies and stuff if it's a possibility. We think it's going to work here, so we're looking forward to that.
That's great, Orlando. And you guys, I guess you have relatively wide sidewalks because I presumably you have to leave 4 feet for ADA to get through, right?
Yeah. So the majority of where our retail businesses are positioned, they're all very large sidewalks.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
Since you brought it up, just relative to that, an update. There was an article yesterday. Morristown was denied closure of Route 124 to do, or partially asked for, requested a partial closure of the NJDOT, and they were denied, which is something we've brought up about whether people are going to be able to do things on state roads. Senator Bucco is very upset about this. And so, because there is a piece of legislation out there that we've been following that's very, very tight. It says municipalities and counties can do partial closures, but it's only Thursday through Sunday. And it doesn't say anything about state roads. The state did respond with a very, their initial response was very poor, like, well, we can't impede traffic. And which is just the typical, like, bad governance against all the complete streets things that we've been pushing for years and years. They pulled that back a little bit, but they're still saying they will not close state roads, and they will allow you to take part of the parking space, or if there's like a side area, but that could only be for the pedestrian part. So you'd use your sidewalk for the tables or the sidewalk sale, et cetera, and then you'd basically have to extend the sidewalk into the parking spaces. So that's their response. And then with regard to the 48-hour, they're saying if you want to go more than 48 hours to close your streets, because that's something local streets you can't close for more than 48 hours without approval from the state. They're saying they'll review those on a case-by-case basis. So no real movement is basically the gist on all of that. So, stay tuned. We're working on comments.
One thing that we did find out in this conversation is that, and it could be a loophole or it could be something that we just not, that people are not seeing, but I think that with the sidewalk sale permit, that will allow certain restaurants to at least put out seating outside of their restaurant without having to go through the, all the bells and whistles of obtaining permits for outdoor seating and everything. So we're hoping that
you're giving that a, okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Anybody else? Anything relative to, the presentations or anything else we've been talking about lately? Jonathan, I saw you took yourself off mute.
I did. Hi. Let me put myself on video. Hi.
Yes, there you are. Always nice to see people. I see a lot of black boxes today. I don't like it.
It's Friday.
Yeah.
So, question for Kate in terms of how we're helping the smaller businesses, mom and pops that aren't so familiar with setting themselves up on the online platforms and all of that kind of stuff. Can you talk expand a little bit about how you can help those guys? Because in terms of vulnerability, I think those are probably our most vulnerable. They may have really good established businesses, but kind of be a little bit clueless in terms of how they set up omnichannel retailing, which I'm a retail architect, and this is obviously really key to how brands move forward, and not just the mom and pops, but all brands. Those that have managed to keep their head above water are the ones that have had a better online presence, and that means multi-channel, not just e-commerce.
Exactly. Yeah. So, well, specifically how we're helping, I would say, is that we've kind of, through the user interface of our technology, we've made it as simple as we possibly can. We've kind of taken these really complex issues, right, and made it so that it's very user friendly and guided friendly. In addition to that, we're very high touch. So, if a business is really struggling with kind of getting onboarded, we have different levels of support that we can offer them to kind of like help facilitate their inventory catalog, or getting them comfortable with using the technology, helping to train associates who need to access the site and help them manage it. So I would say it's kind of a combination of both. It's like the way we have built the product to kind of help minimize, right, friction, and then also the support that we can offer to the small business, whatever level they might be at. But I agree with you. The stores that have actually been able to sort of weather this time period were the ones that had either some form of e-commerce or kind of jumped on early and kind of got that in place. We were really excited to see we had some partners join us within like the 2 weeks of the shutdown. And within her first week of getting on the site, she was back to like her standard in-store day sales, you know, through the platform. And it was, you know, like a couple days setup. So we know that we can move really quickly when the initiative from the business partner is there. What can tend to slow down the process is when there's a lack of like, you know, engagement. But when all those things kind of come together, we can move very quickly and help them get set up and help them manage not just a marketplace presence, but how that kind of can tie into all the other things they're doing, social media, social selling, maybe any other sites that they might be a part of. Like they can actually link an existing website to ours. The inventory and the flow isn't going to entirely work, but they can use it as a lead generator too, to take a customer from finding on the marketplace to somewhere else they want to go, right? So we've tried to at least connect all the dots in an online setting that we possibly can.
So they can go through to say their eBay seller place and Instagram if they have it, that kind of stuff through your platform. That's great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I should also mention, like, we're a commission-free marketplace, so we do not take a portion of the sale. We're a subscription model, which I can, you know, I think Courtney was going to send out all of the information post-meeting, but I think it's just important, a difference in settings and structures and models that I wanted to highlight. We don't take a commission of any of the sales through the site.
Which is a big thing nowadays with the pushback on Grubhub, Seedless, yes. Uber Eats, all of that. Ken, your similar question, I think, for yours is getting people set up. I think I saw the slide that it was like 3 to 7 hours to keep it maintained, but I presume there's a lot of hand-holding to set up. You're not here. There, I unmuted you. Oh, okay.
Thanks. Yeah, well, our team, you know, Vicky and Bob are on the call as well. The team helps the town, the bid, the SID on board, as well as getting information in, and once it's up and running, all of the, you know, maintaining it depending on the comfort level of, again, the organization that's sponsoring it. It is a subscription model type, and you know, it's really a pretty easy platform to keep up to date. Our team will create all the branding and the look and feel and incorporate that into the application for you, and then help you coordinate it and basically get it uploaded so that it can be downloaded to all the users from the Apple Store and the Android Store, and then it's downloaded. And you know, we work with each of the, again, whether it's the community, the SID, the bid, the town, to figure out what's going to go on it, and then help put it together so that the app is really, you know, customized to offer what your community needs.
You look at your app, I can't help but think that it would be great if the state did this. Like if we had a nice tourism destination marketing tourism app. Yeah, nothing good coming out of Jersey. But I hope that you, Ray and Kate, all join up, because I do think in the towns that have your app and then they have a Beyond Main storefront, that could totally integrate into the app, and the same thing with the farmers market and all of that. I see a great, you know, hopefully you guys meet up after.
Make apps like those and resources through our links and pull them in. Again, residents can go to one place. Again, the problem I have, even as a user myself, is I have to know where to go, right? And there's all separate parts. If I just know that this is the digital gateway to everything I want to know, I go there, and then I can go to here, and it can bring me to Kate's site or Ray's site or whatever, or whoever, so that it just isn't, I don't have to remember. It's kind of that one-stop location. Anything I need to know about my community shopping, procuring, what's happening, I can go there and use that as a gateway.
Does anyone else have questions, comments, ideas? Thoughts? I know it's a Friday in the summer and it's been a beautiful, it's a beautiful week so far.
Ask a question, actually.
Sure.
So I would be really curious to know what you, like, as town leaders, you know, what your most pressing, I guess, challenges are right now. Like, what are you most focused on kind of getting your arms around or delivering on? Like, is it more logistical stuff, like with actually the reopening, or are you kind of moving into I guess more of a, how do we want our communities to look? Like, this is a chance to kind of rebuild and re-innovate and rethink. Like, I just am trying to figure out, you know, maybe where everyone's mindset is at the moment and what initiatives you're most focused on.
So let's see, our town folks, I'm going to call you out, although I don't see any of your videos. Let's see, either Pam, Julie, Orlando, let's see, Kristen. Those are our town folks who are on right now.
I mean, so Courtney, if I may, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, again, I think the main focus at this point as a special improvement district is to ensure that our businesses, you know, reopen safely for their employees, and also for the you know, the customers, the community, the residents that come in and do the shopping. But at the same time, you know, granted safety first in the middle of a public health crisis, but as a local, the goal is to, how do we, you know, find a creative way to allow these businesses to maximize
Oh, you're breaking up there a bit, Orlando.
Essential businesses remained open. Business but
Sorry, Orlando, we lost you. I'm going to mute you for now. And Julie, you had your hands up?
Yeah, I mean, probably to echo what Orlando was saying, but right now, at least for us, because you know, the focus is on reopening. So it's and everything that means, which is a lot. It's a lot of logistical work. It's a lot of work with a governing body and administration to review ordinances and get everything in place so they can be as successful as possible. And then we have to kind of watch how everything unfolds and keep, I think, assessing how it's working. Yeah, and, you know, to kind of see what it's going to look like, who's going to come out, what kind of support they're going to get in terms of people spending money, and how we might need to tweak things. And, you know, Courtney talked early in the webinar. It's difficult because one of the things that makes it most difficult is getting the information from the state. By the time we get it, we're on top of reopening. Businesses are stressed, and there's no time to, you know, we don't know what we're planning for. So that's really it. And in terms of marketing what's going on and what we're doing, that's like in the back of my mind all the time, and it's a stressor because I feel like I should be focusing on that and crafting things, but literally I don't have the time or the money this year to be doing anything. So so that's it.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of feeling that I don't know, I by 2:30 most days I've already been on 3 or 4 Zooms. And I feel like I'm talking about what we should do more than actually being able to do what we should be doing. Right. And then I'm just all exhausted staring at screens with videos too on top of that.
Yeah.
I think we're all feeling that. Yeah.
Courtney, do you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I apologize for that.
That's okay.
I think it's probably the uniform message across the board is reopening our businesses safe and finding a creative way for them to, you know, get their businesses jump started and back economically. But I think that, you know, and the person that just spoke, and I apologize, I didn't catch her name, but she kind of touched on it. What happens is when the state, you know, brings down their information, each local entity then has to disseminate that and figure out how it works for their own community. You know, it's sometimes a blanketed plan or statement from the governor across the board, but obviously, you know, this is not a one-size-fit-all approach. So we have to then, you know, take what he says and kind of mold it, or, you know, find a way for it to fit our local community. So I think that's also part of the challenge as well that we're dealing with.
Thanks, Orlando. Lou.
Yeah, Courtney, I guess to add in, I think from a Westfield perspective, I think we're all focused on a lot of the the new challenges of the new world will be from a health and safety standpoint and PPE. But to feed off what where I think Kate's question was going, I think one of the greatest opportunities for us in guiding the local merchants is to help them with the evolution and help them with change. I mean, I think one of the for all of us as individual people and as business owners, change is more often a scary thing than an opportunity from that standpoint. And I think one of the things I'll say we're struggling with it still in Westfield is the idea of people wanting to go back to the way it used to be and not willing to consider what the customer is now expecting today. So, we did a survey that over 80% of the respondents called out that they wanted a pedestrianized downtown area where they can feel more open spaces, where they can feel more comfortable with distancing and stuff. But when you ask the same question of the local merchants, you don't get anywhere near that kind of response from a positive type of situation. So I think that's one of the opportunities is going to be how you guide them to that. So how you become more digitally savvy. So whether that's, we're working with Kate in with her platform to try to be more digitally focused, how to make sure there still are opportunities for curbside pickup or click and collect or BOPUS or whatever you want to call it in today's world. But at the same time, if we really want the downtown areas to be vibrant, we have to realize that today the consumer is looking for something different from that standpoint. And if you don't, I believe if we don't create an environment where they want to come down and spend time, we certainly will have individual winners in the downtown. So if I go on to Beyond Main or into the individual site's website and I pull up in front and grab my pickup and leave, that's great for that one merchant, but that's not going to help the whole downtown come back from that standpoint. So we need to help hold hands in a lot of cases and help them manage through what's going to be more of a revolution than even an evolution when it comes to retailing downtown.
Courtney,
Go ahead.
I'm going to take off my downtown mobile hat. I'm a member of the board for Springfield Special Improvement District, and I know that one of the things we're trying to put together right now is a grant program for our businesses, because we have funds that we had allocated to use for various physical things, improvements and so forth that aren't going to get done because of what's going on. And one of the things the grants will be for, once it gets finalized, is for businesses, the Main Street businesses, to get funding to help put together these improvements they need to make for physical distancing, plexiglass, all the things they do to make their stores accessible now under the new guidelines, because they're hurting so badly from maybe being closed or not having the funds. So that's one of the things we're trying to put in place that will help a lot of our Main Street stores hopefully be able to recover and get back into business in whatever form is hopefully they're able to achieve.
Oh, that's great, Kent. And Rachel Thompson-Panic, who is my associate, who's listening to this and taking notes, she is also working on an article. So she'll be reaching out, actually, I think to Beth, because we want to spotlight all of our members who are doing some type of business relief fund. And we want to make sure it's comprehensive and we actually, spotlight you all and recognize everybody who's doing something. So she'll be, I'm sure she's making note of that, and we'll be reaching out to Beth to get more information on the Springfield one.
I have made note. Thanks so much.
I did want to share really quick a slide to get to Lou's point from this morning's, if my computer stops freezing up. Maybe I'm not sharing it. No, you're all frozen. Everything's frozen. Okay, here we go. To get to Lou's point a little bit, this can you see this consumer survey slide? Did that pop up? Yeah. So this was shared this morning, and this was the Heldrick Center did it, and this is actually of the businesses, and they are extremely and very concerned about how the consumers feel about going back to their business. And then there's actually another slide a little further along. about 55% are extremely concerned about a second wave. So this is all, you know, just very telling and sad about kind of what we're dealing with right now. So yeah, not to be a bummer and land on a bummer. Oh, but a positive related to the funding that I also wanted to mention. You know, we've been pushing to try to get funding for bids. We've been pushing to get the D-bids back open. That seems to be, I'm not quite sure why DCA isn't moving on that. But you may have seen the announcement that NJADA is expanding their microloan program. And so that is now going to be available to nonprofits. It is a low interest loan. A portion of it though is going to be forgivable. And they're up to $50,000. If it's under $25,000, you don't have to have collateral, and no payments for 3 years, and it's a 10-year loan. So presumably with whatever portion is forgivable, that'll hopefully make up for the interest part. So that might be you know, something that the bids can use to do these parklets, to buy the care packages for your businesses, things like that. So stay tuned, more information about that program. It was just officially approved yesterday by their board, and they'll be dropping that application soon. So stay tuned. So we're almost at 12:30, which is when we try to wrap up. Is there anything else anybody wants to say or add for the good of the cause? And if not, I'm going to say thank you very much to our speakers. And I think I'll be sending a follow-up email with information from them for how you can, you know, get more information about their services later. So with that, have a wonderful almost summer weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.